Hey folks, in this video I want to talk to you about compound interest. What it is, why it's great, but also how it can work against you. This is information that I think you really need to know when it comes to understanding compound interest, investing, personal finance, and even life. But before we begin, please click the like button for the YouTube algorithm. I would really appreciate it. Now, there's an equation that describes compound interest. It's a great equation. But at the same time, I think it's very important that we have a bigger conceptual understanding of what compound interest is, so I'm not going to be using that equation. I think in order to understand compound interest, it's better to have a conceptual understanding rather than just a purely mathematical understanding. So let's say you have $100 and you invest it in some kind of interest-bearing account, some asset. It can be stocks, dividend-paying companies, whatever it is, but it pays 10% annually on that principal of $100. So after 1 year, you now have $10 plus the principal of $100, which is a total of $110. Now the next year, you're not just going to get 10% from your original $100, you now have $110. So you're taking 10% of $110, which is actually $11. So at the end of the second year, you now have $121. It's the $110 that you made from the first year plus $11, which gives you $121. And then if you were to go another year, you're not taking 10% interest on your initial principal of $100, it's of $121. So at the end of the third year, you'd be getting an additional $12.10 added to your $121. Let's see if I can do math. 133. That's $133.10. I have a PhD in chemistry. So you can see that over time, the interest rate stays the same, but the amount of money that you're actually getting each year is increasing. And it's increasing because that interest is compounding. The principal with which it started with is slowly growing, and the interest rate is based on that steadily growing principal. And in a little over 7 years, you would actually double your money. Imagine that it wasn't compounding and the amount of money you were getting each year was just based on that initial principal of $100. It would take significantly longer. It would take 10 years before you actually doubled your money, as opposed to 7.2. So compound interest, incredibly powerful as an investment tool to grow your money. But here is the bad thing about compound interest. The thing that very few YouTubers, personal finance and investing YouTubers, and people will talk about. And it has to do with inflation. So inflation is the overall general increase in prices. And you've probably noticed over the years that, the price of things tends to increase. Most of this has to do with just living costs going up, wages, electricity, water, operating costs for companies. As demand increases for things because there's more people, there's going to be some inflation. There's going to be some increase. And inflation by itself isn't necessarily too much of a bad thing. It's also a sign of economic growth. But for you, as a consumer, it's a bad thing because it means that the price of things increases. But the thing that very few people actually talk about when it comes to inflation is that inflation also has a compounding effect. This is why you end up hearing some old people talk about how back in my day, used to buy a can of pop for a nickel. And today it's over like $1.50 or $2. Because 20, 30, 40, 50 years of compounding interest for inflation can create those kinds of effects. So it's not just the fact that as you invest your money, the interest that you're getting is compounding, and that's a great thing, but you're also fighting a similar power. You're fighting inflation that has that same compounding power. So compounding interest, it's usually used to describe personal finance, investing, money, and there's a complicated equation, not that complicated, a reasonably complicated equation to wrap our heads around it and use when we're making decisions about investing. But conceptually, compounding interest doesn't just apply to investing in personal finance, but it applies to life. In life, we do a lot of things. Good things, bad things, and at the end of the day, they actually can have a compounding effect. I think exercise is probably one of the easiest examples to wrap your head around. Over time, you work out, you lift weights, you exercise, you get stronger. Your principle, the foundation of strength, the foundation of your body, your physique, enables you to make more gains. you get stronger. You're building up on that principle, that foundation. And over time, as you exercise consistently, over time, you will get stronger. You will lift heavier and heavier weights. Your muscles will grow. Let's say you're a student and you're studying. Well, your body of knowledge will increase as you continue to study. It has a compounding effect. The principle, the initial information and knowledge that you have is growing. It's growing over time. And similar to inflation, bad habits can work against you in a compounding way. Unhealthy habits. Let's say if you smoke, maybe you first start off with 1 cigarette a month, but maybe that moves to 1 or a pack of cigarettes a month, or maybe a pack of cigarettes a week, or a pack of cigarettes a day. It can have a compounding effect in the wrong direction. And that's something that you want to be very careful about. So good habits can compound. Bad habits can compound. It's very important that we are aware of that. Most of the time we think about the fact that our good habits can compound over time, which is great. It's something to focus on. But our bad habits can also compound over time. I made a video a while ago about the chains of habit. And this quote really rings true, is that the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, like, comment, subscribe. I would really appreciate it. It would help get this message out to more and more people. So if you think that this message was helpful to you, I hope that you will share it with others. All right? I'll see you soon.